ABC Kickoff on-site on location in Arlington, Texas, in our Travel Heritage Hill studios. And I have Stan Drayton here with me, the head coach of the Temple Owls. Coach, good to have you again.
Thanks for having me. How's it going?
It's going very well.
Good.
So, I got to tell you, with Temple being in Philly, I've been spending some time in Philly at the Fishtown Card Show because I have a big old card collection, and I've been going out to the show. They've treated us incredibly at Rivers Casino, and I've had the opportunity to sell some cards, find some cool stuff, be around the Philly area. So
you said cards.
Cards.
With a D.
Sports cards, yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Not cars.
Oh yeah.
No.
I got an old car now. If you had some cars, I would have been there with you now. Yeah, I love my old cars, but no, cards. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what do you have? So what's your old car? What do you got?
I got a '69 Chevy Chevelle.
Okay.
SS. Yeah.
Have you always been a collector?
I haven't always been a collector. I kind of grew up with my dad and my uncle kind of racing cars. They were all muscle car guys, and somehow that got into me.
Okay.
So I love the muscle car.
Do you have a car that you would love to own someday?
I think I have it. My '69 Chevy Chevelle. It's 2 years older than me.
Okay.
It's got a lot of character. It's something that my dad had worked on before he passed away, so it has some real meaning. So I'm owning the car that I've always wanted right there. Yeah.
And you said your dad worked on it before he passed. And
yeah.
I'm kind of double-sided here. Sorry that he's not here, but happy that you have that memory.
I appreciate it.
So, what did he do with the car that means something to you? What was his work? What was his kind of touch on the car?
It was everything. It was just us being together. That was our bonding time. We were underneath the hood and underneath the car. We're getting dirty. He's teaching me things. It was just that bonding experience that made that car important.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Stan, what's your dad's first name?
Same as mine.
Stan.
I'm a junior.
So you're the junior. So with your father, Stan Sr., what has been the greatest lesson that he's taught you that you implement with your student athletes?
Family. Nothing's going to ever become more important than family, no matter what you do. You can have success in life, you can have your failures in life. At the end of the day, your family is going to be your rock. And so I've never lost sense of that. And I've brought that to the football program. I brought that to the coaching staff. I brought that to our players. That is a culture that we're trying to build at Temple. And even though it's very, very challenging in the climate that we're in today, the relationship piece, when you got players coming and going as much, it's a little bit tougher to reel that in, but it's worth it. It's worth the fight. It's worth, the engagement. To me, it's when true development takes place, is when you actually get to know the person that you're dealing with on a daily basis. So it's critically important for us, and we're going to fight it tooth and nail to keep the relationship piece a priority for us, the family atmosphere a priority for us at Temple. And
you talked about the culture. For you, in building this, Temple has had successful coaches, but coaches that stay a short amount of time. So there was this, things would go good, and then somebody would leave, and maybe they would continue, maybe they wouldn't, and then a couple years later, 2 years, 3 years later, somebody would come and go. What can you say about wanting to not only build a consistent culture, but to give these student athletes a familiar face consistently in a program that's changed? Yeah, I think everything we're talking about here is a dying art, right? Temple's not an easy place. It's not for the faint of heart, and in our business, when coaches do well, they move up. I don't think it's just customized for Temple. Yeah, I think that's happened at many programs across the nation, and just like players changing face, coaches are changing face. So I just think it's almost a dying art nowadays. But for me, I am at a place that fits who I am as a person, as a man, North Philadelphia reminds me of the neighborhood I grew up in on the east side of Cleveland, and it has the same, it gives the same opportunities to serve a community, which is a part of my DNA and a part of our football program's DNA as well. So I love Temple. I do. I want us to win more football games, but I am not the kind of person at 53 years old who has had an opportunity to coach at the NFL level, has had an opportunity to coach at the Power 4 level now. It used to be Power 5, I guess it's Power 4 now, and I've won national championships. So it's not like I am chasing something. Yeah. I am chasing a vision
that I have for a program, a dream that I had as a wanting to be a head coach and run a program a certain kind of a way. And so Temple's given me that opportunity, and I took it hook and sinker.
How can Temple do it in today's climate? How can Temple rise?
Well, that's a great question. I mean, there's a lot of things that we can do to rise, to use your word. Number one, I think the first step that we took in that process was hiring a president. We're in a climate right now where people are making decisions for NIL collectives and things of that sort, but we haven't been able to kind of, solidify our approach on that because we hadn't had a president in place. Now that we have, President Fry in place, we can really start having those conversations and put the university in the proper direction that it needs to go. I know that Temple is committed to the American Conference. The American Conference has been very, very clear in what their expectations for their members are, and I know our AD, Vice President Arthur Johnson, believes in it. So we're going to do the necessary things. It's just timing hadn't been in our favor, because we've been trying to get a president in place. So now that we have that in place, I think we'll start taking the proper steps.
And you talk about the membership and the expectation. How would you describe the expectation that the American has coming from Mike Oresco, now Tim Pernetti?
They want to put a product on the field that represents the American Conference, and that's a challenge that he gave to every single coach here, is to put a product on the field that's going to represent grit, toughness, and competitiveness. And I think that we can do that where we are right now as a program at Temple, so and also to stay current with the climate, not to complain about the climate anymore. We have to embrace this climate. We're going through major change. As you heard Pernetti today, Commissioner Pernetti, change is welcomed. And if you have the mindset that you're going to buck it, then you're not going to survive it. So we're going to welcome the change. We've got to be creative right now at Temple and how we acclimate to the change. But at some point, once the resources are available to us, I think we've laid a foundation in place of integrity where we can uphold the standard of the American Conference.
And when you look at that resource-wise, and when we talk about NIL, the transfer portal, now with the ruling and the settlement and the 22%, and now institutions having to find this money, and you want to build, you want to do things for your student athletes, you want to do things as far as building wise and components when it comes to the administrative side, when it comes to the teaching side. There's all these things that a university or a college has to look at.
Yep.
How does Temple, now that you have a President Fry in place, how do you look at the collegiate model and the enterprise's expectations of a university and a college and kind of mold that into what you're trying to do at Temple? Because universities and colleges are trying to grow, but now there's going to be more of a financial ask.
Well, here's the thing. I truly believe this, and I think this is the mindset of leadership at Temple as well, is, sports are kind of the front porch of the university.
Yes.
When you want to increase your enrollment, put a product on the field of play in all your sports that is going to be competitive.
Yeah.
With the conference and with the nation, with everybody in the nation. And what that does is that brings positive exposure to your university. All of a sudden people realize that, wait a minute, Temple's a top 100 academic program? Well, you didn't know that? Or maybe because, our women's basketball team, wins the conference title, that you now look into it and you realize that.
Yeah.
Right? Sports can definitely work hand in hand with increasing enrollment, increasing the reputation of your school, to put it in position to be a competitive environment, a competitive university, both academically and in the field of sports. So I think that's what we can do.
And we look at the preseason poll. Some coaches care, some coaches don't. Some coaches use it as locker room material. 14 teams, Temple's picked 14th. How do you immediately use that as a positive thing for your student athletes?
Well, we take on the mindset of, we're a gritty program, we're a blue-collar program. The only opinion that matters is ours, and for us, we're here to prove us right, not to prove everybody else wrong. We can't invest our energy and our efforts into the opinion of others. We know what we're doing behind closed doors. We know how we're coming together as a football team. Yes, we have some question marks and some things, some voids to fill. I'm sure these guys do too, but at the end of the day, the beauty of college football is you got the polls and then you got an opportunity to put it on the field.
Yeah.
And so we're going to focus in on trying to put the right product and the right mindset on the field.
I love that. We're going to play rapid fire. Coaches typically don't ever get to ask questions, but you do on Wake Up Call. So what's your first question for me, Coach?
What's your perspective of what's going on, in the climate that we're in?
I think that the NCAA calling itself a nonprofit was funny. I think that knowing that student athletes have been the backbone of all of this and getting nothing for it. I mean, getting the education, yes, but the majority of student athletes across the span of whatever sports are not going to play professionally. And there's not a lot of opportunity for certain sports to play professionally. So I think for me, there had to be something in place. I wrote an article about it, and I can share that with you. Mm-hmm. And the article ends with, we may not have all the answers, but maybe we could do a better job of putting a fence around the barn so we don't have to track down the horses every day.
Correct.
And so do I think that change is something that happens and you have to embrace it? Like you said, if you buck it, it's still there. I do think that things needed to happen, but relationships need to be paramount, and it's not about the money. It's not about the, can this school give me a car? Is this school going to give me a house or whatever? Or what type of watch am I going to get? I think ultimately it has to come down to relationships, understanding that at the end of your life, your currency is your soul. And you can't bring the money with you, you can't bring the cars with you, you can't bring the accolades with you, you can't bring the power with you, but you bring how you treated other people.
That's right.
and the relationships that you made. And so I think in my world, when currency is your soul, we need to do a better job at taking care of teaching young people that relationship building, honesty, and being consistently good and not occasionally great is what we really need to focus on, because we are doing a disservice to the future of this country and the future of this world by not teaching these student athletes what it means to be a human being.
Absolutely. I can't agree with you more. I just think that the relationship piece is going to get tougher and tougher.
Yes.
Because what you're saying is all right, but in the trenches, it is the first conversation that comes up. How are you going to compensate me? What's the NIL deal looking like? And, it's not about relationships anymore. And that's scary, because these kids are still maturing.
Yeah.
I think that the relationship piece can be developed in the education of the business world, though, right?
Yeah.
So these kids are making business decisions a lot sooner than you and I have.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell them the truth about the business that they're in. Like you said, have the open dialogue to tell them that, hey, are you a good investment or not? Have you played a down of football yet? Then what makes you worth the money you're getting right now? Seriously, that's not a good investment for people.
Yeah.
Especially if you have the opportunity to get in the portal after year one.
Yeah. Yeah.
So think big picture, and I think that's where relationships comes. Is you force these guys to start thinking the big picture, like what's the guaranteed money? You're working toward making yourself an NFL football player, whatever it may be, to enhance yourself with the skill set to make long-term money, whether it's on or off the football field.
Yeah.
All right. Is an NIL situation promoting that, or is it just giving you something?
Yeah.
Giving you something, all right, is not going to help you progress in life.
Yeah.
Because that's not real. This is not real. And that's where I get a little nervous, and how some people are doing business. They're just providing money for kids that can play the game of football, all right, but they're not teaching them along the way of what's real and what's not real. And to your point, it's going to create a very compromised society.
Oh yeah. And giving something to someone is not teaching them how to earn it. And so once that gift is gone, this person has no life lessons on how to actually gain something and bring it in for themselves and sustain it. And I think sustainability is quick money, but sustainability is what everyone should be about.
That's right.
So for you, my question back to you, on a lighter note, if I'm in Philly, where am I getting a cheesesteak?
All right, so Angelo's, man. Everybody
Angelo's.
talks about, you know, Delisandro's and you know Maxie's and Jim's. About 20 years ago was my favorite.
Okay.
You know, but I had to say Angelo's down
Angelo's.
in South Philly, and I tell you what, probably the best pizza in the area too.
Okay.
Angelo's, go check them out.
Angelo's. All right, I'm making a mental note of that.
Yep.
What's your next question for me?
I don't have one. I don't have one.
You don't have one?
No, I'm good.
All right, so I'm going to hit you with two more
Okay.
that are off the football field.
Yep.
If you and I had the opportunity to make positive change right now in this moment in Philadelphia, and I told you, you set up this, I will be there, and you and I are arm in arm doing whatever this is, what will Stan Drayton and Dan Tortora do today in Philadelphia to enact change?
We're going to get this community rallied around Temple. We're going to make the community in North Philly understand how Temple University is going to benefit them. Okay. Actually, this city, as we know it, we got an issue with some things, with violence and things of that sort. And,
Yeah.
and I think, you know, when you sit there and you have an opportunity to actually go into the community and talk to the people about what's going on, they look at Temple as the one bright light. Figuratively and literally, like at nighttime, the campus is the one glow of the whole city, right? And I think that if we can just pour into the community to let our athletes be the example for the kids in the community, all right, that we can build a better Philadelphia.
I like that. There are 3 owls in this conference.
It's only one owl. It's only one owl.
So I was going to ask you, with Rice, with FAU, and with Temple, if the sign is this for Rice and the sign is this for FAU, then what's Temple's sign?
I hope we just lay some pads on each other. You know, I just lay some pads on somebody, hit them in the mouth, and that'll be our symbol right there. Just look at the cherry, the T, you know, the cherry and the helmet and the T on the helmet, and that'll be our sign right there. That's all you need, man.
All right, so Temple pancakes are the sign.
Temple pancakes. There you go. I love it.
All right, Stan Drayton here for the Temple Owls, the head coach of their football program heading into the 2024-25 season here on Wake Up Call. Stan, it's always my pleasure.
Stan, thank you.
Thank you very
Appreciate
much.
it. All right, man.
And to the city of Philadelphia, we're with you.
Let's
We
go,
pray
baby.
for you, and we only want to see you move forward in a positive fashion.
Absolutely. Love you, Philly.